Okay, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Ben Kernick, and today I'm going to be providing you some background on Naviate, explain where it's come from, why does it exist within the first place, and what does it have within it to support the many challenges that our customers have fed back to us over the years. Now, following this short introduction, I will then hand you over to our technical specialist, Natalie, who's going to demonstrate the technology in detail and cover some of the more common features and associated benefits that our customers value. So, of course, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please drop them into the Q&A, and we'll then either address them within the presentation or at the session at the end. Okay, so from a high level, what is Naviate and what are the challenges that it sets out to address? Well, essentially, Naviate is a technology ecosystem, and it enables our customers to be able to spend more time on valuable design work and far less time on repetitive, manual-based, labor-intensive tasks, further providing, of course, capacity to be able to do more of what we enjoy. Now, it's fully integrated within Autodesk Revit, and it sets out to maximize user productivity and reduce the risk of error through an integrated suite of workflow enhancement tools, educational content, and technical support. Now, it's being born directly out of industry and user feedback. So each function within Naviate can, in the main, be directly associated with a customer request. Now, it's this community of about 10,000 plus users, together with industry leading experts such as yourselves on the call today, that have supported its development over the last 12 or 13 years, and as a Naviate community, continue to make it so successful today. So what have we learned from customers assisting us within the development of the platform to date? Well, initially, whilst there's a recognized value within the Autodesk solution, together with an appreciation that many are now becoming somewhat standard, it is clear to see from user feedback that the workflows within Revit are in some areas very limited, and many of them need enhancing and automating to simply reduce the amount of time that we spend on non-valuable activity, which of course has somewhat of a negative impact on those required to use them. Now, to address this challenge, the core functionality that comes as part of Naviate really sits within what we would refer to as the workflow optimization pillar. So Naviate expands the existing toolkit, the tool set of Revit with over 100 additional productivity tools. Now, whilst it's impossible for us to obviously cover all of them today, we will instead focus within the more commonly used features that our customers benefit from. Now, we also get the feedback that whilst there's various third-party productivity plugins to choose from, many are purely individual tools which address a specific need. So that means not only does a customer have to procure these from multiple sources, which of course can collectively become expensive, they also have the ongoing management overhead of deploying them individually and keeping each one of them up to date. Now, another aspect that we also must consider is the user experience and the inconsistency of utilizing different tools and the resulting challenge that has on user adoption and, of course, the resulting benefit. So whilst there's a limited number of tools available within the market which are free of charge, we do need to ask ourselves what the real cost of these are. So many can be poorly managed or out of date. And if one was to corrupt the model that you're working in, would that developer accept ownership and have the capacity and technical expertise to put things right? I'm not so sure. Another way of achieving much needed automation is, of course, through tools such as Dynamo. Now, whilst it's great for specific requirements, customers have started to appreciate just how much time is needed to not only develop the initial scripts, but more so an appreciation of having to manage them moving forward. Now, what's more, with everyone looking to achieve the same level of automation within many of these common areas, it doesn't make a lot of sense for all of us to be investing within the same thing, and especially when many of our business models are built on charging customers for our time. Now, another consideration and potential risk is that of the intellectual property sitting within one person and that valuable resource then leaving the business. So again, to address such challenges, Naviate has a comprehensive, consolidated set of features which, when supported by a unified interface, eases learning and it supports adoption and drives, of course, successful utilization. Naviate supports its users in being able to drive consistent quality through built-in standards. Now, these might be associated to predefined settings within the provided templates or specifications built directly within the functionality itself. Now, having such a broad set of tools available Naviate can support customers in being able to remove the burden of having to procure and manage multiple third-party applications. Now, it can also remove the overhead and the risk of developing automation in-house and allow customers to be able to focus on what they do best. Now, considering the dependency that we have on technology that fundamentally underpins our design process, being able to optimize a team's capability through training is key. Now, whilst this is commonly recognized, it's certainly nothing new. There is a tendency to forget the importance of continuous learning and the ability to be able to keep up with the changes of ever-developing technology, all aspiring to make us, of course, that much more efficient. So the realization is that learning can't be static. It can't be a tick-in-the-box exercise that purely fulfills the requirement of an appraisal. So before looking to enhance Revit with productivity features, there is a recognized skills gap that we need to close within the core technology, in turn being able to maximize the return on that existing Autodesk investment. Now, this is something that's quite close to my heart. So going back, when I focus within organizational development, an interesting book called Committed to Memory, it focused on the challenges around memory retention. So whilst active learning is important, it also needs to be relative to the task in hand and available on demand. Now, if applied directly after consumption, the chances of retention increase tenfold and of course provide a much better foundation to be able to recall that learning down the line. So to address such a need, Naviate does differentiate itself due to being developed by an Autodesk Platinum partner. And as such, it provides a comprehensive e-learning platform which customers can use to further develop their skills within the Autodesk portfolio of technologies, as well as Naviate itself. So to accommodate the different styles of learning, Naviate comes with a range of different media, covering workflows, courses, videos, and individual reference documents. It's instantly available through a mobile device or a web browser, and it also neatly sits within the core Autodesk application to be able to support even in-session learning. Most customers utilize the powerful search function. Now, this provides you the ability to essentially search on any word spoken within one of the instructional videos. Now, whilst visual learning has become more popular these days, the platform therefore provides a great way of finding relevant content and delivering it via bite-sized chunks, again, with the intention to support retention. Now, another concern was in relation to ongoing technical issues the team might face and the effect that could potentially have on project delivery. With the pressure on, delays can cause unnecessary stress for a team, and as a result, they can develop into a negative situation. Now, this, of course, has probably been more evident through COVID and the requirement for us to be working remotely. Now, whilst the benefits of optimizing workflow and closing the skills gap are, of course, very evident, customer feedback has highlighted that these can be easily corroded if not protected. Now, again, underpinned by an Autodesk Platinum partner, Naviate comes with access to technical support, but just like that of the learning element, it covers both the Autodesk portfolio as well as Naviate itself. So having such an insurance policy reduces the stress on the team. It protects user well-being. It provides confidence to be able to explore new, more efficient methodologies of working rather than necessarily sticking with what we know. So assistance can be accessed through several different channels. And whilst in the main, users are going to be put directly through to a dedicated technician, the agreed SLA will provide a response within about the hour. Not only does a service aid within installation and licensing requirements, more importantly, it supports the imparting of knowledge to be able to further supplement and expand the value achieved through Naviate learning. So one way of looking at it is almost having a virtual trainer on demand. Now, the Naviate community is also an extremely important part of the ecosystem. And as a member, it provides a platform for collaboration and the opportunity for users to discuss their technical requirements, as well as table ideas on how to be able to overcome them. Now, for symmetry, it provides direction on what customers really need, and in turn, considerations which will drive future development. So having such an agile, outsourced development team which can respond to specific customer requirements, yet provide that same functionality to the masses at a cost that's attainable is obviously beneficial to everybody. So Naviate is not just a productivity add-in. Instead, it's an ecosystem of technology and services providing many features that our customers can benefit from. It's developed by Symmetry, an Autodesk Platinum partner. We are indeed unique and have the capability to support both native Autodesk technologies as well as the extension of Naviate itself, essentially providing a one-stop shop for all. Okay, so with that said, It's now time to take a look at the technology itself, so I'll pass you across to one of our technical specialists, Natalie.
Thank you for that introduction, Ben. Hello and good morning, everybody, and welcome to this live Naviate bi-weekly webinar series. Today we're going to be taking a close look at some of the top 10 tools of Naviate Architecture. However, before we do, I'd just like to briefly introduce myself. So my name is Natalie Bacci, and as Ben has already mentioned, I'm one of the senior Revit consultants here at Symmetry. I'm also one of the technical specialists and training consultants for Naviate Architecture for Symmetry here in the UK. You'll notice that I have some contact details here, so if you do need to reach out to me after this webinar with any technical questions or queries, then please feel free to contact me directly by simply dropping me an email to natalie.bacci@symmetry.com and I'll get right back to you. Okay everybody, so let's jump straight into the live demo. So today we're going to be working in Revit 2022, and this obviously is the latest version of the Revit Autodesk platform. You'll also see that I'm working with the latest version of Naviate 2022, which was released back in July just gone, and which also comes fully integrated into the Revit user interface. The commands we're going to be taking a close look at today will include some of the most commonly used tools from our Naviate Architecture toolset, and also some of the most commonly used ones from our Accelerate toolset. However, the first set of tools we're going to start with today are the Accelerate tools, and under the Accelerate tools you'll find a suite of tools which we like to refer to as your productivity tools. So these are kind of like your everyday tools and would be the tools that you would typically be using more frequently throughout the life cycle of your projects. However, as there's hundreds of functions within here, it would probably take me the best part of a day or so to show them all to you. So today we're just going to be focusing on some of the most popular and commonly used ones that have been created for a different variety of workflows within here. So the first tool I'm going to show you is the Family Browser tool. But before I show you that, I'm just going to switch to a 3D view to demo that. So again, with the Family Browser tool, this has been rated one of the most popular tools of the software. And what this tool does is it gives you the ability to sort, manage and insert family content all in one place. So when I actually launch a tool, we get this dialog box. So firstly, with the dialog box, we do have the ability to resize this. So again, this is a nice little feature. So you can kind of move this around the screen and resize it as you like. With the function as well, we have some sort of options going on here. So the first one we're going to show you is these two tabs here. So the first one we'll start off with is the Folders tab. So under the Folders tab, you'll notice that we have this UK folder already in here. So this is an area within the function that allows you to map in your family content. So at the moment, you can see there is currently a folder in here. This folder is the out-of-the-box Revit library. So this is the library content that gets installed when you install the Revit application. So again, you have the ability to map in as many folders as you like in here. How you would map a folder in is you'd go up to this select folder icon up here, and then you simply select that and then sort of navigate to where that would be on your local machine or anywhere on your company network. So I do have a folder in here that I'm just going to simply map in. And again, once I select that, that will bring that folder into this list here. So again, with the content that you have in here, you have the ability to remove content as well. So if you do want to sort of delete a folder from the Family Browser, you can simply select the folder and then you can simply hit the remove icon up here and that will simply remove it from the Family Browser. So again, with the content I've got currently mapped into here, we have the ability to find the content within the folder. So again, if I just collapse this list here, we can then sort of scroll down and this will kind of list all the different components that have been loaded into the Family Browser. So again, we can choose a category. So this time I'm going to go for a door type. So again, if I collapse that, I can pick external doors. When I pick external doors, we'll now get this nice little preview on the right hand side. So in here, this kind of is showing you all the different door types that are in this folder, and you kind of get this nice preview of what you're about to kind of load. So again, if I just sort of left click on one of these icons here, we'll now see that in the bottom left hand corner of the Family Browser, we have this table. So this is a really nice feature as well. So this is showing us the type parameters of the door type that we've got selected. So again, this is a really nice feature which gives you that visibility of what you're about to kind of load into the project. So again, just gives you the information before you actually decide to use it. Again, if I just hover over the this door type here, and if I right click, we have some other options here. So we do have the ability to change the thumbnail size, and we also have the ability to load the family in directly from this point. And we also have the ability to edit the family as well. So if you do need to make a change to the family, you can open up the family editor from here and you can go in and make your changes. So again, just a really nice way of being able to manage and sort those families all under one roof. Again, if I just sort of go back to my top of here, this folder, UK folder, just sort of collapse this again. And again, up here, you'll see this filter search up here. So again, with this family browser, you do have the ability to search for a component that you're looking for. So again, I could simply type in here mullion, and what that will do is it will return all those values. So anything that is relating to a mullion within the content, it will go away and return those values. So again, you can see anything that has that association will be listed here as well. So again, a really nice little feature there, enabling you to make an advanced search depending on what you're looking for. In terms of the loaded families tab, if I just click this here, this is essentially the family content that is currently loaded within your project file. So you can see here, this is the out-of-the-box Revit content. So this kind of behaves similar to the project browser. So in your project browser, you have a families branch, and this is kind of showing you all the families that are currently being used within or have been brought into this project file. So again, this is exactly the same. It's just showing you the different families that sit within the project file. So again, the really nice thing about this family browser that I kind of want to finish off on is with the family browser, it gives you the ability to kind of drag and drop into your project. So again, if I just collapse this here, and then if I go for maybe the door again, and if I go for this external door, and again, if I just maybe pick this one here, I can simply drag and drop this into the view. So just give this a few minutes, just save this project. And then again, if I just zoom somewhere down here to the exterior face of the building there, and just simply drop that door in there, you can see how quick and easy it is just to simply load your families directly into the view. So again, with a family browser, really easy to use, just a really nice function for you to sort and manage your content all under one roof. Okay, so that's the family browser. So the next tool we're going to look at is the Filter Elements tool. So again, with the Filter Elements tool, it's another great tool within the Naviate software. This tool simply gives you the ability to find and select components by type. So with the tool, we can actually build a filter based on different type, and we can also build and create advanced filters by adding type and instance parameters. So if I just launch the tool, you'll see that we get this dialog box. So again, we've got some sort of options going on within here. So the first thing we're going to look at is this box here. So within here, we have a list of different categories. So these are all the different categories that are within the active view. So again, we have the ability to choose from which category we want to create our selection for. So again, it could go for a wall category. So you see here that if I sort of collapse this, we can then start to select the different wall types. So again, if you were going to do this in Revit, Revit doesn't give you this ability. It will only allow you to select by category. So with Naviate, we can simply go down and sort of drill down into the wall type that we want to create our selection from. So again, if I go for this external 300 garage wall, you'll see here now in the middle section of the function, we've got this property. So again, we can start to build out this selection using either instance and type parameters. In this particular case, I'm just going to hit the select button just to show you what this does. And you'll see what it's done is it's just gone away and found that wall type. So as I said before, with Revit, it will only allow you to find by category. With the Naviate tool, we can drill down into the wall type. So if I just escape that, if I just switch over to a plan view, And again, if I just run the tool again, just to show you another example, we could this time build a filter based upon fire rating. So again, I'm just going to scroll down, and again, I'm going to use walls again. And this time I'm going to select all of the walls within this view. And this time I'm going to start building out and using some parameters. So again, because I want to use a fire rating sort of selection, that's going to be part of my selection. Just simply select the fire rating property there. And if I just click this arrow here, we can add that parameter over. So again, we can kind of set a rule up here. So again, we can just simply click from the drop down list here and choose what we want as part of that. So again, I'm just going to ask it to find all walls that have a fire rating equal to FR55. I'm also going to save my selection this time. So again, if we go up to this save as here, we can then save this selection for future use. So I'm just going to put wall fire rating. Click OK, hit the select button, and you'll see now that it's just gone away and found all of them walls that have a fire rating value of FR55. So again, just a really nice way of going in there and creating that selection. So if you did need to make an edit to those walls, you could simply do that. So again, if I just escape that, and if I go back up to the filter elements tool, but this time if I click the drop down, we've got this quick filter elements option here. So again, with this here, we have the ability to select that, and what this will do is it will then sort of return those filter elements that have been saved. So again, we do have the full wall fire rating one that I selected earlier, and you can see now that it's enabled me to bring that back, that selection back. So again, just a really nice sort of way of saving your selections for future use, but being able to create an advanced sort of filter based upon those instance and type parameters. So the next tool we're going to look at is the Color Elements tool. So I'm just going to escape from the walls that I've got selected there, and I'm just going to go up to the Accelerate ribbon, and we'll see this Color Elements tool. So again, with the Color Elements tool, this is another great function within the Naviate software. This can save you a lot of time if you do use filters in your project. So if you are looking for a really fast way to extract important information and present it graphically in view, then this is the tool that will help you achieve that. So again, the tool essentially allows you to colorize any elements in the active view based on any parameter values that you want to include. And these can be applied to any workflow. So again, down the left-hand side here, we have a list of categories that are kind of associated with the active view that we have open in the background. So again, we have the ability to just choose from one of these categories. So in this case, I'm just going to go for walls. And you'll see up here we have the ability to choose between instance and type parameter. So again, if we just drop this list here, we've got a drop down of all the different instance parameters associated with the wall, and we also have type parameters as well. So let's say, for instance, we wanted to build a color override based upon fire rating. So again, if we look under the type parameter, all we need to do is simply choose from the parameter list here. And again, if we just go for the fire rating value there, you'll now see that the Color Elements has generated a color override. So what it's done is it's detected that there are two fire rating values within this view, and then what it's done is it's applied a color override to those walls. Again here, in this color column here, if you don't want to use the colors that Naviate has generated, you can sort of simply select here, and you have the ability to go in and customize and use what colors that suit you. So again, if we just click OK, you'll also see down here we have some radio buttons. So with these buttons, you have the ability to toggle them on and off. So again, you have the ability to override projection cut lines. So you can see as we toggle them on and off, they are switched on and off in the view. We also have the ability to show elements in the property. So again, if you can see on the right hand side, we can show the elements in properties as well. If you want to keep your color overrides on in the view when you come out of the tool, so again, if you want to maintain the color overrides, you would need to make sure that this radio button is toggled on. We also have the ability to add our color override to our visibility graphic. So again, if we select this button here, this will simply add it to our visibility graphics. We also have the ability to add it to a view template. So again, if I select that, this is looking at all the view templates within this project, and we can simply pick from there what view template it would need to be applied to. So again, if I just close this down, we can then go back up to the tool and maybe switch to a 3D view this time. But this time we can choose something different, but we can still go for walls again, but we can choose something different in terms of parameters. So again, we could sort of say this time we're going to go for an instance parameter. Now just move this 3D view to there so you can see that. And this time we could simply say, let's build a color override based upon maybe wall lengths. Let's try wall lengths. So again, when we do that, you'll see now that how quickly Naviate has created those color overrides for us. So if I just scroll down here, there's probably maybe just over 100 filters. So again, just like that, those filters have been generated. So again, if we were to do this or perform this same task in Revit, this would probably take us the best part of a couple of hours to do. So again, if I want to add these now to my visibility graphics, I could simply add view filters. What this will do is I'll go in, add those to the visibility graphics, but before it does that, we get this little report here telling us how many filters were added. So you can see there's 114 filters currently added to the current view. So if I close this down now, and if I just go up to my visibility graphics, if I go to the view tab, then up to visibility graphics, then up to the filters tab, you will now see all of those filters that have been applied to the visibility graphic. So again, as I mentioned, this would take you a lot longer to do if you were to do this in Revit. So again, just a really great tool if you want to, if you're looking for a really fast way to extract important information and present it graphically in view, and if you want to save it to your visibility graphics. So the next tool I wanted to show you was the Renumber Elements tool. So again, I'm just going to switch back over to my Accelerate tab, and I'm going to go across to the Parameter Values panel. So under here, you'll see a Renumber tool function here. So again, with the Renumber Elements tool, it's a really popular tool and really easy to use. So again, when you try and renumber elements within Revit, such as doors, it can be extremely error prone, especially if the doors aren't placed or sequenced in an organized way. So with the Naviate Renumber tool, you can simply choose an element from the list and then choose a parameter value for that element to change. So again, I'm just going to switch to a plan view just to kind of demo this. And if I just move this across here. So again, within the Renumber Elements tool, we have two ways that we can renumber. So we can firstly renumber by selecting objects, and we can secondly renumber by using what's called a spline. So the first one I'm going to show you is number by selecting objects. So you can see by default that is already on. So in here we have an element type list. So again, we can choose any element types from the list that we want to renumber. So in this particular case, I am going to choose doors. We can also then choose from a parameter value. So again, I'm just going to go for mark. And we can also set the current number. So this is the number it's going to start from. And we can also add a padding to this. So again, I'm just going to build this out to 2. And we can also as well add a prefix. So I'm just going to add a prefix of DR. And then what we can do is if we just zoom into the area that we want to renumber, you'll see that as I hover over a wall, for instance, you'll see we get this no entry sign. So it's really good. It knows that that isn't the element that needs to be renumbered. It's just the doors that it needs to renumber. So again, we can simply go around this area of the building and we can start selecting our doors. So again, just really easy to do just by selecting those objects. Once you finish selecting the objects, you can simply close down the tool. And then if you just simply select a door, and if we just go across to the properties, you'll see now that in the properties, we now have this mark parameter populated. So you can see now we have that prefix that we added, and those doors have simply been renumbered. So again, a really easy way of going around and just selecting elements and renumbering. Again, if I go back into the tool, this time if I show you how to number by spline. So again, if we select that to be on, you'll see that within this project here, I currently have a spline tool already modeled. So that's been modeled using a detail line. So again, in this particular case, I'm going to choose a different element type. So this time I am going to go for rooms. So this is going to look at my room objects within the project. And this time I'm going to choose number as the parameter to go with. I'm also going to set the current number to 1. And this time I'm going to give this a padding of 3. You'll notice that currently those room numbers currently have a padding of 2. So I'm just going to switch that over to 3. And again, for the prefix, I'm just going to put RM in there. So again, if you just sort of zoom into the area over the spline, if I hover over the spline, you'll see that the spline highlights. So depending on what end of the spline I pick will determine the start of the sequence. So again, if I just simply select here, this will then go away and run the tool. And what we get now is a report. So this is telling us 12 rooms have been found. And at this point, we have the ability to reverse the order. So if you have picked the wrong end of the spline, you can reverse the order. So if I select reverse order, this will simply change the direction. If we hit OK, click OK, we can now see that those room objects have been renamed. And if I sort of hover over one of these rooms here, and if I go into the properties and under the identity data, we'll now see that the number parameter has now been populated with this prefix we added earlier. So that's the Renumber tool, really, really easy to use and just a really quick way of going around and choosing your element types, either using the spline method or the selection method. So we're next going to jump across to the architecture tool set. If we just go up to the ribbon here and select the architecture tab, you'll see in here that there are a list of different tools and functions that have been specifically created for the architectural discipline and associated workflows. So again, in here, there's lots of functions, and so it won't be possible to show them all today. However, we will take a close look at some of the most commonly used ones and the most popular ones of the tool set. So the first one we're going to look at is this wall data function here. So when I click the drop down here, we have 2 different options. So with this function, it simply allows you to add wall gross area and wall height parameter to the wall instance properties, which can be really useful for scheduling purposes. So again, if we just go for the wall gross area function first, what this simply does is it will simply calculate the gross area for all walls. So again, here we get this nice little report telling us that 582 walls have been updated. So if I simply close that down and select one of my walls, if we go across to the properties, you'll see now that in the properties under the analyst results, you'll see now we've got this NV wall gross area calculation that's been added. Again, if we go back up to the tool, and this time we could go for the wall height option. So again, with this wall height function, this simply allows you to calculate the actual height for walls. You'll notice that there is a little bit of an error message here that I've got, and this is to do with grouped objects within my project. But you'll see that it has looked at the walls that are ungrouped, and it's given us a report of 198 was successfully updated. So again, if I close this down now, select one of those walls, you'll also see now in the properties underneath the gross area, we've now got a wall height calculation there as well. So again, a really easy to use tool, and just really, really good for sort of scheduling purposes as well. Okay, so the next tool I want to show you is the Align Walls tool. So again, the Align Walls tool is a really easy tool to use. The tool essentially allows you to correct any walls that have been drawn off axis. So again, this could be another great way to audit any walls that have been incorrectly modelled. So again, if I sort of just zoom down into this area of the building, we currently have a wall that has been drawn off axis. So what we have the ability to do with the tool is correct this wall. So again, I'm just going to simply select the wall first, and I'm just going to go up to my architecture tab, and I'm just going to run the tool, and I'm just going to go for Align Walls. So what this will do then is it will bring up a little box which gives us some options to pick from coordinates. So again, I'm just going to go for the Revit internal coordinates, and then I'm just going to select OK. And what we have now is to have the ability to go in and choose how we want to rotate these walls. So again, I am going to go for this bottom option here. So this is close to the orthogonal of the guiding object coordinates. And again, here we have the ability to set the threshold angle as well. So again, we can type in a value here as to how we want that angle to, where the angle should rotate to. So again, I'm just going to leave it at 5. I'm going to hit OK. And then before anything happens, we'll then get this dialog box asking us which walls we want to select to analyze. So again, because I only have one wall in my project that has been incorrectly drawn off axis, and I've got it in my selection, I'm just going to go for this in selection option here. And what this will do is it will simply go away and correct that wall. So you can see how quickly it is to go in and start sort of analysing any walls within your project that might have been drawn off axis. So just a really great way to audit that sort of workflow. Okay, so we're going to jump back to our Accelerate tool. So we just go up to the ribbon and select the Accelerate tab. With this next demo, we're going to be looking at the workflow that is typically used when you have reached that stage in your project that requires the creation of construction documentation for output. So again, whilst this workflow is not hard to achieve in Revit, the process can be very tedious, especially if you have hundreds of sheets to create, sort and manage. So with Naviate, we've come up with a set of tools that automates that process for you. So again, if we just select this Manage tab, we have here a selection of tools that will simply automate that process of documentation output much more easily. So the first tool I'm going to show you in here is the Create Sheets from Plan View. So when I select this function, it will then present us with this box here. So again in here, this tool simply allows us to create sheets from plan views that have been set up within our project. So again, from the left-hand side here, we have a list of all the different plan views that are currently set up within this project. And what I can simply do is I can simply select a branch of plans that I want to create my sheets from. So again, if we look at here, we can also exclude a plan from the list. So again, if we change our mind and want to exclude one, we can simply tick this off and it will remove it from the list. So you can see as I've selected those plans, we'll see that this sort of table has now been generated. So again, we can resize this. And with this table, it does behave similar to Excel. Okay, so you have similar sort of functionalities where you can do copy and paste. However, this does have some extra functionality to it. So in here, we do have the ability to go in and start modifying, changing, removing, and populating information. So firstly, what we can do is we can resize these cells. So we can just shift this over a little bit to create a bit more room. And in here, we can start to create and populate this title on sheet column. So again, from this view name column, I can simply do a copy and paste. So just a standard Control C and a Control V. And then in the bottom right hand corner, we have this green little cross icon. We can simply drag this down. And as we drag it, we'll then get these options here. So what we can do here is choose from these options. And in this time, I'm just going to go for fill copy. So you'll see now that what it's done is it's copied that information. But what it hasn't done is it hasn't incremented it. So if you want to go back and change that option, you can simply drag it down again. This time you can go for what's called fill increment, and what that will do is it'll increment that for you. But you can see that the increment hasn't it hasn't incremented in the correct place, so we need to go back in and change that. So we can still do that. We can simply drag it down again, and this time we can go for a custom increment. So when I select that, we'll then get this box, and what it allows us to do is it allows us to select a digit or a letter in the sequence that we want to increment by. So again, in this case, I'm going to go for this second digit here, number 1. And as I've done that, you'll see that it's you can see now that it's started to increment that sort of plan, this section here. So again, if I click OK, you'll see now that it's incremented that for me nicely. Again, we have the ability to sort of just go over here, and again we can change and update our sheet numbers. So again, if you wanted to go in and update those sheet numbers, we could simply do that, and we could simply do a drag fill increment, and that will update all those values. Again, we could just jump across to here, and again we could go over to this approved and check by column, and we could run a little function called search replace. So again, we could select these cells here, and then we could right click and we could do a search replace, and then we could say anything that has checker against it needs to be replaced with BK. So that's my colleague. If we select OK, that will then replace that with BK initials. Again, if we do the search replace again, this time we could type in a value, so we could type in approver, and again we could say that that needs to be replaced with NB, which is myself. And again, so you can quickly see how easy it is to go in and start changing, modifying and updating this information. So this is all your title block sort of parameters that you can simply go in and start updating before you create the sheets. Before we hit the button, I just want to explain a little bit about what's going on up here. So again, in this middle panel, this is telling us what sheets have already been created. So you can see that under the plan branch, we already have a sheet created within this project. If we go across here, we have the ability to change the placement method. So again, we can select from the list where this should sit. So again, we could go for, you know, something like center, and so on. And again, here we have some radio buttons that we can toggle on off. So if you want to include a legend view, a schedule, or some symbols, we can do that. But for now, I'm just going to leave them as they are, and I'm just going to go down here and create my sheets. And as I hit that, it's just going to start generating those sheets in the background. So I'll just leave that running for a little minute. And here you can see now there's a report. So it's telling us 6 sheets were successfully created. If I just click OK, close down the dialog box, and you'll now see that in my project browser, I have my 6 sheets created there. So again, if I just open one of these up, you will see that those sheets have been created, but what you will notice is that my viewport is sitting off my sheet. So again, with the next tool I'm going to show you, this will allow us to kind of customize where our viewports are going to sit. So it will allow us to kind of place our viewports in a uniform position so that they are sitting in the same place across all sheets. So that's the Create Sheets tool, really easy to use, just automates that process for you. So even if it's just 6 sheets in your project, it would still be 6 times that you have to go in and update that information. So the next tool I'm going to show you is the Edit Sheet Parameters. But before I kind of go into the tool, I'm just going to reposition this view that has been placed off the sheet. So again, I'm just going to drag this view into the center of this sheet just to kind of show you what's going to happen next. So again, whilst I drag this view into the center of the sheet, you'll see that it's sitting kind of where it should be. But if we were to do this across all other sheets, you know, it's going to be kind of a manual kind of process. So again, how do we know that these views, if we drag them into the same place, are actually sitting in the correct sort of position? So with the next tool I'm going to show you, this tool will allow us to choose where our viewports are going to be placed within the sheet. So again, if we just go up to the Edit Sheet Parameters here, in here, this tool simply allows us to go in and start editing our sheets. So again, you'll notice in this top sort of section here, we have a list of all the sheets that have been created, and you'll see that the sheets that we just generated just then. So again, what I can do is select the sheets, and what it will do is it will generate this table again. So again, just like the Create Plan View function, this behaves in a similar way. So again, we have the ability to go in here and start updating and changing our information as well. So again, in here, just exactly the same information, which you can go in and change. The thing I want to show you about this tool is this Show View Locations button here. So again, if I just select this, what this does now is it will show you a table, and you'll have 2 columns showing for the X and Y coordinates. So this is telling me currently where those viewports are sitting. So you will notice that the ones that I recently moved have different values against them. So what we have the ability to do then is update all of the values, update those values for the ones that are still sitting off the sheet. So again, what I can do is if I go for this first one, I can simply copy this up here paste it into there, and then I can do my drag drop sort of functionality thing here. So again, I can just drag and drop this and do my fill copy. And again, if I just simply Control C, Control V, and then drag and drop, and then fill copy again, that will then update those viewports. So you can see now that it's gone away and updated that. So if I just sort of select Update Sheets, and if I click Close, if I just open up my sheets, if I just cycle through them, you'll now see that every sheet is sitting within the same view location. So again, just a really nice way of going in and making any edits to the sheet parameters or to the view locations as well. Okay, so the next tool we're going to move across to involves parameter management. So if we just sort of come out of this Manage Sheets panel here, and if we just switch to a 3D view, we'll find up in the Accelerate tool set, we'll find a function called Edit. So again, when you work in Revit, there's going to be lots of times when you might need to manage and update and change parameters at different stages of your project lifecycle. So with Naviate, we've created a powerful function here that simply allows you to automate this process. So this allows you to go in and manage and update different parameter values. So if I sort of launch the tool, what we'll get here is this big dialog box. So again, we've in the top left hand corner, we have two different sort of options that we can choose from that we want to edit. So we can either edit categories within the project, or we can edit schedules. So in this particular demo, I'm just going to show categories. So again, what I can do is if I select this list here, this will look at all the different categories that we can begin to sort of choose from. So again, if I just scroll down and pick a wall category, when I select walls, we'll get this configure parameter columns dialog box. So in here we have the ability to choose between either instance or type parameters that we want to sort of edit. So again, in here by default we've got type parameter selected. We can also see that there's three parameters ticked on as well. So again, we can select all of them on. So again, if we just select the top here, it will select all of them for us. Again, we have some filter sort of functions here. So again, we can filter by editable parameters, we can filter by common, and we can show only built-in ones as well. So again, if we just hit the OK button, this will then generate a table similar to what we've seen before. So again, it behaves in exactly the same way, similar to Excel. So again, we can expand these columns and start to copy and paste information. So in here, you can see that these are the parameters that currently exist against the wall categories. And in here, we can sort of start to modify, change, and populate information in here. So again, if we look at the type name column, we could do that search replace function that I showed you earlier, and we could simply highlight these sort of cells here, do a right click, and we could ask it to search for anything that starts with ext. We could ask it to replace with external. Hit OK, and it will simply go away and update those type name values for us. Again, I could run the tool again, and this time I could ask it to search for int, and then simply replace that with internal. So you can see how quickly and easy it is to go in and start updating those sort of parameters. Again, if you wanted to change fire rating, you could simply do that. So again, we could just sort of update that to that value there. And again, we could just do our simple drag and drop there, and then we could just fill copy. So that will update all of the fire rating values against the walls. Again, we could go over to our type mark, and again, we could start to sort of modify this as well. So again, we could do a simple sort of fill increment, and you can see that it's incremented in the incorrect position. So again, we can go back in and we could just do a custom increment and then ask it to increment at that letter there. So you can see how easy it is to go away and start generating that. So once you've modified and updated your parameters, all you need to do is simply hit the update values button here. That will go away and update those parameters. So we'll bring back a report to tell us that 54 parameters were successfully updated. So again, if I just close this down, close it all down, if I just zoom into just an area of the building here and select one of these walls, so things are a little bit grouped here. So again, if I just select one of these walls, there we go. And if I just look at the type properties, you'll see that now that the type name has been replaced with the full external there. And again, if we go into edit type, into the properties, we'll now see that that fire rating has also been updated. So this is just a really powerful tool for you to go in and start making an edit to any sort of category. Again, if I go back into the tool, again, we could sort of pick a different workflow this time. So again, we could go in and this time we could look at maybe Windows. But this time we could create a schedule. So again, you can choose between either instance and type parameters that you want to build into the schedule. In this particular case, I'm just going to go with type, but I can sort of add some more parameters in here. So I could go in and add a cost, and I could perhaps add maybe a rough height and a rough width to that as well. So if I click OK, that will then simply generate that sort of schedule for me. So again, I can start to populate information in here. So again, I can start to add some costs in there. So again, I'm just going to make up a kind of value in there. And again, I can start to populate that across all other kind of windows within there again. So I can do a full increment. Once you've sort of updated your sort of table information there, you need to hit the update value. So that will go away and update the actual parameters of those windows. Then we'll get the report. If we just close that down, we can then hit the create schedule, and that will then allow us to rename our schedule. So again, we can go in and rename the schedule at this point. If I just click OK, and then if I just go down to my project browser, and if I go to my schedules, in fact, if I just close this down first and then go to my schedules, we'll now see that a new schedule has been updated, has been created in there. So just a really, really easy tool to use, but very powerful. Just giving you that ability to kind of sort, manage, and edit those parameters across different categories within your project. Again, if we just open the tool up in here, just one more thing to show you. Again, if we want to choose schedule as the option in here, it will look at all the different schedules that you have in your project. And again, you just have the ability to select one of them. That will then bring up the schedule, and then you have the ability to go in and start changing that information as well. Okay, so that pretty much covers out some of the main tools and functions that I wanted to show you during this demo. And so I hope you've all enjoyed the demo, and I hope it's given everybody a taste of what Naviate Architecture and Accelerate are all about. If you do have any questions, and we do have some time in a minute to answer those. However, if you do have any questions that come to mind after today's webinar, then please feel free to reach out to me and the team. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the demo, and thank you for your time. Just going to hand you back to Ben so he can wrap up the final part of this webinar. Thank you, everybody. Over to you, Ben.
Thanks, Natalie. Okay, so to summarize Naviate, obviously with over 100 tools, it can mean different things for different people. Now, whilst appreciating the commercial benefits, many of our customers actually value having the increased capacity to be able to spend more time on design and being able to add additional value to, of course, their own clients. Now, for some, it's removing the need to work late into the evening, possible weekends, and instead just establishing a more sensible work-life balance. Now, as far as determining the price point and for customers justifying the costs, this can be broken down quite simply. So if we consider per person, you have, let's say, an average charge out rate of £70 per hour. The fact that Naviate Architecture costs about £80 per month, you break even if saving just over an hour a month, or looking at it a slightly different way, 17 minutes a week. So in most cases, for existing customers actively using the platform, we see about a 15% productivity increase. But what does that actually mean? Well, if quantified across a typical architectural practice for, say, 25 Revit users, and the sum of chargeable hours that they have at their disposal, it means a wastage of approximately 648 days across the year. Okay, so finally, some feedback from a handful of customers benefiting from the platform and a call to action. We have a unique website covering all things naviate.com, and if, of course, you'd like to hear more about the overall proposition, please drop us an email and we can then organise a one-to-one session to review how the platform can specifically address your own unique challenges. Of course, if you have any immediate questions at this point, please just add them within the Q&A section and we'll circle them. For those of you needing to leave, thanks for listening. Thanks to Natalie, and we hope that you found the session useful.